They were flirting with each other. Even a few sexual passes here and there were some planned. Elizabeth seemed unsure if he was there, but he was persistent. I scrolled down the most recent message after having started without another conversation. The most recent message was from Elizabeth. She said, "Yes, I'll see you then." It was a reply to the question Brandon had sent just before. It was, "I'm free this weekend if you want to come with you. Tell your parents you're going to the movie. I can pick you up. 8 o'clock Saturday, sound good?" At that moment, I heard the toilet in the bathroom just in the hallway flush. I realized I had sat down in the chair. I jumped up, put the laptop down, and ran out. I ran into my room, shut the door, and just sat down. I sat there for a while. I had no idea what to do, what was really going on. Inside of me just wanted to ignore the whole thing like it wasn't happening. But that wasn't right. A few days went by and the weekend grew ever closer. With each day I got more nervous. I wanted to know this was going to be. I didn't know something. If I held it in, my uncle would do something he would regret forever. And I'd regret forever too. That's my brother. I looked on Thursday. I told them why I saw him. I was taken aback, and my father kept shaking his head. He even got angry and told me not to tell lies about my own family. So I grabbed Brandon's laptop. He was working overtime that night. Of course, we didn't know his password. We guessed a few things, none of which worked. We ended up looking up a way to bypass the password using safe mode on one of our phones, something he noticed immediately when we got back. So, we were already in too deep to return. And luckily, his Facebook login info was saved to his browser. One click and we were in. His profile showed his full name with someone else's picture just as before. I pulled up his messages and showed my parents. It didn't take too long for my dad to turn away. I saw him walk into the kitchen and throw something that sounded like glass. My mother seemed to have trouble breathing. After what seemed like a half hour of straight silence, she told me to just hang out in my room for the rest of the night. Without a word, I nodded and obeyed. I thought I'd feel better after confessing everything, but I felt a million times worse. I wanted to die. That night was one filled with screaming and slamming doors. I didn't sleep. My family hasn't been the same since. My father ended up kicking out my uncle, and since then they haven't talked. My mother called Elizabeth's parents to let them know what her daughter was doing, but she did not name my name. I kept expecting cops to show up at her door demanding information about Brandon, but they never did. I will never look at people the same way. Of all people in the world, it was one that I thought that I trusted most. My own uncle was a few days away from raping a young girl. Number 5. Encounter from Facebook. Submitted by Joey Sabine. This is easily the most terrifying moment of my life. It's opinion to let it get as far as it did, and believe me, my parents have not let me live it down just yet. If anything, take this as a warning. I talked to a guy on Facebook. It was an older man by the name of Eugene. Eugene did not even bother to change his profile picture or any information at all. Yet, in spite of my age and different time, he would consistently send me very disturbing messages. They didn't start out completely creepy though. It was during that more innocent phase that I made a mistake. It started out asking how I was. Of course, I asked him who he was. Don't just spark a conversation up with a stranger, especially at my age. That's a little. He said he knew my father, that we were old friends. He introduced himself and said he had known Ned for years. Well, the thing is, my father told me that he wasn't Ned, and I corrected it. He just played it off like his memory was bad. I rolled my eyes, and thus began when I started to completely ignore him. He didn't like that one bit. I could tell when he started sending me messages on Facebook about how he left me and how I was a freaking ruler. Excuse my language. I don't know why he was blocking right away. I guess I just forgot to do it. A few days of this, I was starting to get down. Every other notification was from him. Soon I locked myself in and walked over and I read the messages first. God, I just had to read those messages. He kept telling me where I was. He listed my address a few times just so he could rub it in my face. He told me he didn't get a reply from me, he would come to find me. It only took me a few seconds to erase those messages and block that scumbag. Still though, I couldn't help but feel a little bit freaked out that he knew where I lived. Was it that I told him who my father really was? Was he able to search and verify us online? I didn't have my address on my Facebook. That would be idiotic. One night, maybe 2 days after I had logged in, something woke me. It must have been midnight. Once I was fully awake, I heard the loudest knocking at the door. My house is 2 stories. My bedroom was on the second. But I could hear that knocking at my bedroom. Someone must have been trying to blow the damn door down with its knees. Then I heard a man's voice shouting my name. I covered myself and I looked. A freaking child. This Eugene bastard must have actually come to my house. I was scared out of my mind. I couldn't even force myself up to wake up my parents. I kept praying that one of them would wake up and hear it too. So it did. It was my father. I heard him shouting back, yelling to whoever was outside that he'd call the police. He said he was grabbing his gun, which I knew for a fact we didn't have. After several exchanged curses, the knocking stopped and everything became quiet. After my father called the police, he came right up and talked to me. The strange man outside was saying my name. Hesitantly, I told him about what had happened. My dad told me I should have never messaged him back in the first place. That's what had happened. But he had accidentally left the door open. He had broken it. But one good way to go was the end of the day for the day. These were all thoughts that my father put into my head that night. Thoughts that honestly scared the hell out of me. What amazes me and horrifies me now is how easy it all happened. It happens anywhere. It could happen. It's always good to get out there and meet new people or get in touch with old friends. All it takes is a few clicks and some people opinions, to picture, online, no one might be who they say they are. Anyone could be anyone. They could be watching you from afar every day, slowly getting closer until there's one. Good night. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks. Now, time for the life or death question. What are you going to do about 1,000 YouTube subscribers? I'm so happy to say the days of the city this channel is 100K. I couldn't have made it this far without you. So, I need some ideas. What would you do to celebrate such an enormous moment? Let me know below. Thank you, kind watchers. Native American origins are among stories. What is this? Those stories is just how last evening. Today, many people walk down the street to pictures of Native American. And today, they have those celebrating the true stories from Native Americans themselves and legends and these legends if you can still be true to speak out to them, you want to share send it to them and speak out inside. Now that I am virtual pick up that person and see location. My experience with anyone in a small town Dixmoor was. I grew up in a small town called Dixmoor, Illinois, on the south side suburbs of Chicago. For the most part, Dixmoor was and still is a quiet small town with very little happenings and very, very few roads, at least from my perspective. There are some abandoned houses that haven't been blown down. to college. There are two places that, without doubt, are there's no performance that that's which is rather nice. Very nice. Supposedly. Me and my friends have ventured across grounds beyond the sky. Haven't ventured far because there are dangerous vehicles where you fall into. And it's inhabited by a pack of storms. But that place is a story. The next place because it's right across the street. It's a forest preserve called PREVAILS. Here at the day, it's a huge forest preserve. Lush green grass with fine lying over the fields, and a forest in the background dotted with trees. At night, it grows and takes minutes. The entire time is produced territory. That I can, especially if you do some research and finding out by first. Miami tribes, perhaps that contributes to the super's needs of this. Think about this is it's a unusual thing. It stays behind us. But on days, right? Never splits over the guns of the day worlds between the bonds where the scissors years are often enough to see all the things that I always thought you needed some sort of station. But why am I so I was outside. So with my 3 older cousins, 2 boys, and a girl. Altogether, I just range 7 to 15 years, so that I didn't start getting along. As many things as his older sister. He was the same. I said we should start anyway. That's my mom had that the youngest to get the street lights came out. By then, August, not wanting to get disciplined, he was the first to start walking back towards home. It was always the quickest way out of the to be honest, I forgot all right until this time. So that's my purpose, especially as it's in so many needs. My cousins, again, not as tense as me, played around in it for a second. This caused me to stop. So now I was growing nervous because I was a 7-year-old child who was trying to walk. It was hard. I called out for them. Of course, I received no reply. I figured they were going to try and scare me by locking me in a box somewhere, which prompted me to move towards the exit. I moved in the direction that I believed was home, and I moved slowly, until I came to the tree and said, there was nothing special out of the field if I pressed forward. Before I continued on, the youngest of my 3 cousins, Ramsey, came out of the fog, trying to spook me as he announced himself. Then he asked me if I had seen his older siblings, Tony and Joy. I told him no, but according to him, he had lost them playing in the fog. He concluded that maybe they had walked ahead and were waiting for us back at the house. I agreed, mainly because I just wanted to get out of the fog, but I was relieved that the fog would be alone. Especially since Rose existed. It was usually a conversational honest. There was what I